Once upon a time, there was a prompt. And from that prompt, an image was born. Welcome to a Midjourney tutorial for beginners. I'm going to explain all the important features you need to work with Midjourney. So, how do you actually make a prompt? Start simple. Don't overthink it. Then, build on it with variations. The Use button on the right side instantly drops your prompt back into the input box so you can remix it. Now, I know what you're thinking, but I don't even know what to type. Don't panic. I've got you. There's actually a hidden guide in the Midjourney help docs, a 7-step manual to building prompts. Nobody reads it, so nobody knows it exists. But you do now. Quick demo time. Let's create a prompt side by side, breaking it down into easy steps. One prompt for a person, one for an object. It starts with the subject, who or what. Then the medium, in what form. I want to have a photo. You don't have to follow the order. Put what matters most at the start. Environment, where is it happening? The lighting, what kind? Color, in what shades? You don't need to tick every box. Less is often more. Mood, feelings to evoke. Optional, but powerful. And finally, composition. How is it framed? If you run through these 7 points, you'll instantly have the backbone of a great prompt. Let's run it. Not too bad for a first try. Pro tip, adjectives are your secret weapon. Words like futuristic, gritty, or beautiful make your images instantly pop. Another useful tool, the rerun function. It runs the same prompt again. Einstein supposedly said, insanity is doing the same thing over and over, expecting different results. Well, by that definition, Midjourney is totally insane. And if you ever get stuck with a prompt, just ask ChatGPT for help. Seriously, tell it what you're trying to do, and it can generate, improve, or remix prompts for you. But wait, my absolute favorite tool is Describe. Ever see an image and think, how on earth would I prompt that? Easy. Drag and drop it into Midjourney. It'll spit out 4 different prompts. Run them all and see which one hits best. Before we move on, 2 quick tips. If you want text inside your image, use quotation marks. Example, tell Midjourney to write design on the wall. If you want to ban something from the image, use the no prompt. Write 2 hyphens and no. For example, no ceiling lamps, and the lamps are gone. Chapter 2, Parameters. You'll find the settings with parameters right next to your prompt. 3 parameters matter most. Stylization. This controls how much of Midjourney's signature art flair gets sprinkled on top. Low values, realistic, almost like a regular photo. High values, glossy, cinematic, super polished. I usually go 100 to 500 for people. Parameters hit people and objects differently, so let's check out both. For objects, the whole range can be fun to explore. Weirdness. This one dials up the creativity, or chaos. The higher you set it, the stranger your images get. Personally, I almost never touch it. It's just too weird for me. But if you're into surreal, abstract stuff, go wild. Variety. Chaos. This tells Midjourney how adventurous to be with your prompt. In the dropdown, it says variety, but the actual parameter is called chaos. Same thing. For people, I sometimes set it up to 10. For objects, or when I'm hunting for fresh ideas, crank it higher. You'll be surprised what comes out. Another powerful switch is raw mode. This strips away Midjourney's default styling and gives you a raw, unfiltered version of your prompt. I love using raw for photorealistic images. For objects, the difference is more subtle. The rest of the parameters? Pretty self-explanatory. Change the image size like 4:3 or 3:4 for pictures, or 16:9, the cinematic one. Speed, Fast, relax, or turbo. Pro tip, if you're on the standard plan or higher, using relax mode means unlimited images. That's honestly one of my favorite perks. But here's something beginners often trip over. When you hit use, the parameters inside your prompt will always override whatever you set in the menu. So if your prompt says stylize 200, that's the law. The drop-down won't matter. And honestly, that's a good thing. It keeps your projects consistent across the board. If you don't specify a parameter in the prompt, then Midjourney just takes it from your settings. In this chapter, we're leveling up your Midjourney game. Midjourney doesn't just listen to words. Nope, you can actually steer it with images. And trust me, once you try it, you'll never want to go back. There are 3 ways to do this, and by the end, you'll know how to mix and match all of them. Let's start with the image prompt. Think of an image prompt like handing Midjourney a mood board. You drop in a picture, and the AI goes, "Oh, I get it. You want something in this vibe. Let me cook." When you use one, Midjourney scans your image, grabs the essence, colors, shapes, mood, and uses it as inspiration for your new picture. And when you compare results side by side, the influence is crystal clear. You can upload your own pics, or even reuse ones you already made with Midjourney. Just drag, drop. But here's the catch. Image prompts don't replace text prompts. The 2 always work together. I tested this myself. I tried one image prompt with a really basic text prompt, and the results were okay. But when I added a stronger, more descriptive text prompt, wow, the results looked way better. So remember, image prompt plus text prompt equals teamwork. Pro tip, if you're using one image, you gotta add a text prompt too. If you're using multiple images, you can actually skip the text and just hit enter. That trick can be handy for objects, like houses. But if you're working with people, I'd always combine image and text for the best results. Now let's move on to style references. This one's fun. A style reference is basically Midjourney cosplay. You give it an image, and it borrows the vibe. Not the exact people or objects, but the mood, colors, textures, or lighting. I tried dropping in this black texture, and suddenly, Midjourney gave my character clothes that looked textured. Even the background started matching. Spooky, but awesome. And here's the cool part. You can use anything as a style reference. Colors, patterns, wild textures, even stuff that makes no sense. Half the fun is experimenting. You can also use multiple style references at once. Midjourney is weirdly good at making the crazy stuff look intentional. You can use a black and white sketch, and suddenly your whole result takes on that sketchy aesthetic. Or you can drop in some wild texture just to see what happens, and Midjourney will surprise you. You might get something you'd never expect. Finally, let's talk about the third one, Omni reference. This is like the teleport ability of Midjourney. You take a character or an object from a reference image and drop them directly into your new creation. I tested this with a character, dropped it into the prompt, and bam! Midjourney carried the character right over. It works shockingly well. Heads up though, Omni reference takes a little longer to render. Also, it doesn't just work for people. You can use it for objects too, like buildings. And you can even adjust something called Omni strength to decide how much detail carries over. But honestly, I've found the default setting of 100 is usually just fine. Quick warning, Omni doesn't just grab faces, it grabs details. In one of my tests, the character's sweater showed up in every single image just because it was in the original reference. Kinda funny, but also kinda annoying. Pro tip, if you only want the face or one detail, just crop the image first. That way, Midjourney doesn't sneak in extra stuff you don't need. Okay, so now you know. Image prompts, style references, and Omni reference. But here's where the magic really happens. when you combine them. Let's start with an easy prompt from this tutorial and add an image prompt. Pretty straightforward. Then add a style reference on top. Now the vibe gets layered in. And finally, throw in an Omni reference. Boom! Now you've got all three working together. And here's the wild part. Even if you use the same three references, mixing them in different ways can give you completely different results. It's like cooking with the same ingredients, but ending up with three totally different meals. All right, let's take a quick break from the Create page and head over to the Edit page. Now, here's the cool part. You can either upload your own image and edit it, or take something you already made in Midjourney and give it a makeover. To get started, click your image, hit Edit, and yes, you have to click twice. So what can you actually do here? You can resize your picture, move stuff around, and everything that's transparent. Midjourney just fills it in. Like it literally paints reality for you. No big deal. And just like when creating an image, you'll need a prompt here too. In my case, I'm reusing the same prompt I used for the original image. Why reinvent the wheel, right? After a few seconds, Midjourney gives you 4 variations. Pick the one you like best and keep going with that. Now let's get a little hands-on. Click Paint, then Erase, and let's remove something small, like this earring. And it's gone. Easy. Kind of satisfying, isn't it? You can even erase bigger stuff, like this necklace, and Midjourney will just rebuild that area for you. If only real life worked like that. Oops, bad haircut. Midjourney, fix it. Instead of the brush, there's also the Smart Select tool. That thing's awesome. It can automatically grab the background for you. You might need to clean it up a little by hand, but here's the secret. Unlike Photoshop, you don't need to be super careful. In fact, erase a bit more than you think. Midjourney will fill the gap so smoothly, it looks like it was never missing. Let's tweak the prompt. A green background. And boom, the background is green. Love it when things just work. Now, if you're planning to edit a lot, here's a quick pro tip. Don't tell Midjourney what to do. Tell it what you want to see. Let me show you. Let's say we want to remove this woman from the beach photo. So you might think, okay, I'll just write remove the woman. Nope, doesn't work. Midjourney's not a genie, it's a painter. Instead, tell it what the final image should look like. In this case, photo of an empty beach. And just like that, she's gone. Some results might still look a bit off. Maybe the background focus isn't perfect, but this one is totally fine. Now, here comes one of my favorite parts. Layers are like digital Lego blocks. Let's hop back to our last example and download the image with the transparent background. Then, back on the beach photo, click Add and drop that new image right in. Now you can move and resize her on the beach until it looks just right. Look at the bottom left. See those 2 layers? Click the one you want to work on. I'll choose the background and erase a little strip around her so Midjourney can naturally blend the edges. You can always switch layers and tweak stuff later. Now, just type your prompt, describe what you want to see, and hit Generate. Not bad for the first round. That left arm? Yeah, let's have Midjourney clean that up. Easy fix. Oh, and there's this awesome feature called Suggest Prompt. Midjourney will auto-generate a new prompt based on what's inside your layer. Let's give it a shot. Nice. Looks even better. Working with layers gives you so much creative power. You can also use more than 2 layers, combine multiple layers, blend totally different images, build entire scenes from scratch. Sure, cleaning up transitions sometimes takes a bit longer. Just one last thing, make sure your layers are in the right order. If not, just drag and drop them up or down in the bottom left panel. Okay, that's looking awesome. Before we wrap up, there's one more feature you need to see, Retexture. This one lets you change colors or materials while keeping the structure of your image. So let's test it with a few simple prompts. And just look at that. The living room stays the same, but the colors and textures completely change. New vibe, new mood, same layout. Now it's time to bring your images to life. Let's talk about the Midjourney video function. And here's the best part. It's super easy. You just need one image to start with. All right, for this demo, I started with a single image, a skateboarder flying downhill. Pretty epic, right? Now, here's what you do. Click on your image, and in the bottom right corner, you see Animate Image. Let's start with the auto mode and test both low motion and high motion settings, so we can compare the vibe later. While Midjourney cooks up those videos, let's quickly check out the video settings. There are two things you really want to know. First, resolution. You can choose between SD and HD. My tip? Start with SD first. It renders faster and saves a ton of fast hours. Then, once you're happy with the motion, upgrade to HD for that clean final look. Second, batch size. If you set it to 1, Midjourney makes only 1 video instead of 4. That's another great way to save time and credits. And honestly, it keeps your workflow smooth. All right, let's go back to our skateboarder clip. And wow, look at that. The way she's balancing on the board, the motion down the hill. It actually looks real. Midjourney nailed it. Between low and high motion, I actually like the slow motion one best. It feels kind of cinematic, right? By default, your video will be around 5 seconds long. But if you want to go longer, just hit Auto Extend. The first part is your original clip, and the second part is the extension. You can keep clicking Extend again and again to keep that motion going. Now, in this case, the auto mode did a great job because Midjourney clearly understood what to do. Skateboarder, motion, downhill. Easy. But sometimes, it's not so clear. That's where manual mode comes in. Click Animate manually and your current image becomes the start frame. You can delete the original prompt and write your own custom direction. For example, here I typed, slowly move through the kitchen toward the beach. And boom, it creates this smooth, dreamy camera motion that looks totally intentional. Here's where it gets even cooler. In manual mode, you can also set an end frame. So you're basically telling Midjourney how the video should finish. But what kind of end frame should you use? Good question. Anyone who paid close attention in the last chapter already knows the retexture function. With it, I turned the image into a drawing. Then, I used the sketch as the start frame and the original photo as the end frame. Then I wrote this simple prompt. Turn the sketch step by step into a photo. And the result looks like the drawing slowly morphs into reality. Super clean, super satisfying. Okay, one more creative twist before we wrap up. Loops. Loops are great for visuals that can repeat endlessly, like this globe, for example. I just used auto mode with slow motion, and now it spins forever. Perfect for background clips or ambient visuals that just look alive. Hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Now, go check out my other Midjourney videos. Trust me, you'll find some real gems in there.